trip inspection, checking out my trailer axles, making sure all's well, looking at my brakes and so forth. And I noticed that there's a significant amount of wetness on my right rear trailer tire. And I go, that's interesting. I should investigate further. So I do. And it turns out that my secondary suspicions were confirmed. My wheel seal had burst, blown, whatever you want to call it. They started leaking. I knew as soon as I saw it, it was going to be something that wasn't just regular overnight condensation in humid Florida. And unless I got lucky and some raccoon or a small dog or a cat or whatever decided to pee on my tire, I knew full well that the amount of moisture that was there indicated something wasn't quite right. And as soon as I looked at it and I saw, the evidence of the oil, I'm like, yeah, this is not good. Because I've got drum brakes on my trailer, and considering how the seal had burst or failed, it didn't quite blow, but it failed. I knew full well that I was looking at not just the wheel seal, but also the brakes needed to be replaced. All right, well, it is what it is. Now, for those of you who don't know, with trailer drum brakes, the brake shoe lining, aka the brake pad material, it's very porous. It can handle water, because water will evaporate, it will dry out, it will eventually leave the material able to properly sustain the friction of interacting with the brake drum in order to arrest the vehicle as normal. Fair enough. However, you soak those pads in oil, and now all you have are highly flammable sponges on that particular point, whether it's your tractor axle or your trailer axle. So I knew full well that, all right, this has got to get fixed. It's got to get fixed today. So I'm like, all right, here's my plan. I need to get to my delivery. Got an 8 a.m. appointment. Let's go ahead and get this load off the truck. And then we'll just make it mission number one to get into TA or a Love's or a Petrol, whatever. Get into a shop, get this situation sorted out, get it fixed, get it taken care of. So I start calling around to the local truck stops and saying, okay, hey, I've got a wheel seal that's failed on the trailer axle. What's your mechanic availability? Because you can't just roll up there and say, hey, I need a wheel seal change. You got to have, the location has to have a technician or a mechanic with the permission of that site to that's a huge relief. Thank you very much. So they replaced the wheel seal, they replaced the brakes, and it turns out the technician who did the job made a minor mistake, but it's one of those things where I'm not going to give him any kind of crap for it, because it's a mistake that actually ends up benefiting me in the long term. Because what he did, he was going through a very proper inspection procedure to make sure that he was finding all the issues he could with my right rear wheel hub, so that if there was anything that needed to be fixed or addressed while it's torn apart, we just, hey, we're here, it's torn apart, we can make the repair, we can do this job and get it done, so it's just done, instead of you having to, go to another shop and have to tear it all apart again and then do this extra job. Like, yeah, this makes good sense. Because he had also diagnosed that my S-cam bushing on that brake assembly was bad. I'm like, yeah, you know what, we've got it torn apart, let's get this fixed, because he got it apart, it's easy to access, let's just do this repair and tack it on. And I figured it was going to add a bunch of money to the bill. Thankfully, the bill was significantly less than I thought it was going to be, which was extremely pleasant news. Because I was expecting to pay well over $1,000, and I did not, which was almost like a Christmas present on Halloween. It was good times. That was my bag of candy for the day. I got a cheaper than expected repair bill. I had to wait, until this morning, 6 a.m. to get the truck worked on, but it got done, it's fixed, it's good, which is the important thing, and now it's safer because that wheel seal has been replaced. Keep an eye on it. I went to another TA, or a Petro in Ocala, Florida, and got my lug nuts on that spot retorqued, so they're good to go. So it's becoming a better day. At least it was until I saw the load boards that I have access to and realized that I was in for, shall we say, an unhappy business decision if I wanted to get any kind of work going over the next day. Because load pickings out of Central Florida, absolute crap. I could not get a decent load to save my life. I did pick a load. I've got a long deadhead to get there. It's not a great rate for what I'm doing and the amount of miles I'm driving. But at least it gets me out of Florida and it gets me back into the Midwest, where I can get access to